Welcome to this edition of the HIV Prevention Tracker video tutorials. My name is Ausse Kalega and I'm a Systems Analyst working with the Makerere University School of Public Health, the METS program. We are going to go through the registration process of a client in the tracker. And to start off, let me just log into a demo account. As you can see, the very first page after logging in is the browser cache cleaner, where we clear temporary memory from the system. So as you can see right now, I have a couple of temporary memory within my browser. And to start off, it's better you first clear this cache or temporary memory from the system for you to be able to get the most updated data from the server. So to do this, I'm going to select all and then clear everything, and it will show you that the local storage is empty, session storage is now empty, meaning that now I can fetch data directly from the server without relying on what is stored on my local computer or within the browser. So with this, I'll be getting updated information from the server. To continue, I'm going to start off straight with maybe taking you through the brief of how the interface looks like. At the top here, we have the name of the program and the very page that we are at right now, which is HIV Prevention Tracker Cache Cleaner, which is the page. On the top right here, we have the messages icon, which contains messages that are coming through the platform to your account or related to your account. Then next we have the apps icon, which gives you access to all the applications that your account has access to. And then lastly, we have this icon that gives you access to manage your profile. So as you can see, once you click on it, it will show you the name of your account, and then it will give you an option for you to edit your profile, go to settings, and look at the other options, as we shall see in the later tutorials. But for now, we are going to concentrate on registration. So to access the registration page of a client, you use the tracker capture application, since our program is a tracker. So you click on the apps icon. Then, because we have a couple of apps that do different functionalities within the system depending on your permissions, you might be seeing more than one or just a few, depending again on your rights. For data entrance, you'll be able to see tracker capture, which is for data entry, then also data visualizer, browser cache cleaner, which you've looked at, and then a couple of some few other apps. But remember, the primary target or goal of the data entrant is for them to be able to capture or enter data into the system. So we'll keep away analysis applications and reserve them for M&E officers. So I'm going to start off straight away from with the application, which is the tracker capture, so that I can look at my previously entered records and also be able to enter new records into the system. So as you can see, because this is a demo account, we have access to facilities that are for training purposes only. So for you to be able to train and practice your skills with the tracker, we recommend that you always log in using the training accounts that we shall share in the other materials. So by default, it's giving me access to HIS facility. And remember that our data is recorded at facility level. That's why you see that if I click on region, as an example, this working area is empty. When I go to district, same thing, sub-county, the same. It's only until I click on facility that data will be populated, and the same for this other facility. So it will be showing you the records for which facility you've clicked on, and that particular facility will be highlighted orange. So make sure that whichever data you're entering from the tools that you're holding in your hands that for entry, you have to highlight your facility, and it has to be in orange, meaning that it's the active or actively selected facility for data management. So all these clients right here belong to HIS facility. So when I go to test, the clients will change. I only have one in this one. So for this one, let me just go to HIS facility and then just take you around through a couple of options or filters that we can go through. So before we even start with data entry, briefly about this particular page, I will give it to data analysts or M&E officers as well, because we believe that analysis can start from this very level. However much this app is meant primarily for data entry, but it can as well do some bit of analysis. With that, if you look at this very list, you realize that at the very top right as well, you have options to download the list, and it will ask you for which format you want to download the data in. We usually recommend CSV because it compresses your data into just comma separated values, and it will be smaller to save on your data and time. Please keep away from printing clients' names, phone numbers, and any personal identifiable information, because we don't want to identify our clients to anyone that is not authorized. So with that, I'll just go on with the other features. So up here are some of the other features that you can utilize. Here it will show you a full list of everyone in the system. Then the next one is to just filter out those that are actively enrolled. The next one is for those that have completed enrollment, and the last one is for those that have cancelled. Now this other custom working list is just for you to filter out your clients according to the fields that were used or that are used at registration. As an example, you can filter by registration date, you can filter by KP scheme, enrolling CSO, NIN, unique ID, and the rest. So whichever field appears at the registration or on the registration form, you can use it actually to filter your clients from the very big list that you might have for your facility. So when you're done, you just click on search and it will look for those particular clients that you've defined. Okay, now because we are looking at a list of previously entered records, that's why blue is highlighted here to show you that we are looking at a list. For you to be able to enter new clients, the first thing we recommend is that you search through their existing records and make sure and confirm that the client that you're going to enter does not exist. So for you to do that, you use the search option, and then what we use to search, we have an ID and then the name. So the ID comes in two forms. There's the manually generated ID, or the ID that comes from the KPIC generator. It appears in the first field here. Now the system can also generate IDs automatically within itself, and those IDs are the ones that you put here if at all a client has that one and you want to use it for searching. But if you don't have any of those, then you can use the surname or the given name or both. Then it will give you a list of those that have the related information. But now if you confirm that your client is not in the system, then it's from that point that you can actually register a new client, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I click on register. It will load up the form for me to register the client. So this form is picked, all the data that goes into this form is picked from the facility tracking card or service tracking form, or from the community service tracking form. Whichever you're using, you have to first make sure that you're actually aware about that particular difference. So to begin, we have what we call a registration date. By default, this date will give you the current date when you click on the register button, but you have to change this to whichever date is on the registration form, but not the current date or the date that you think you're entering the data into the system. It has to come from the service tracking card. After this, we have what we call the service model. Service model is divided into health facility and community. So if you're entering data from a facility, you choose health facility. Because we have two service tracking forms that belong to health facility and community, you have to choose one of these for you to be able to get the appropriate tools and fields for your entry. So if I choose facility, it will ask me for the name of the facility entry point, and I'll enter that. If it's OPD, STI, ward, art clinic, and so on, that's what you put into the system. For this particular one, I just choose OPD, then continue to the client information. So right here, you can choose the KP scheme, and by default, we are using COP. Some others can use Global Fund, but KPIF is off. the list at the moment. So I'll go with COP. Then if this particular entry belongs to a CSO as an enrollment, then you can choose a CSO and look it up in the list. So as you can see, the client unique ID generator is populated automatically. It's because now we have an auto generator within the system. So this ID represents the facility. The first 3 letters or characters represent the facility name. Because I'm at HIS, the first 3 characters are HIS, then the next 4 are picked from the DHIS2 or EHMIS code, because every facility has a unique code within the EHMIS system, and that is the first 4 characters that we pick on the next or the second segment. Now the third one is the current year when you click on the register button, not the registration date. Please note that this is the current year when you click on the register button, and then this is the current month when you click on the register button. The last one is the sequential number that keeps on adding up from 1 to whichever numbers that you're clicking on in the system. It will just keep on adding on 1, 2, 3, 4 and onwards. That is the ID in brief, and that's automatically generated within the system. Now the unique identification code is what you manually generate onto the cards, or the one that is generated from the KPIC generator, for those of you that are using that particular tool. If you have these details, you can go on and fill them up, but for the sake of this particular demonstration, I'm just going to fill up a few of them. So nationality, we shall choose national, but you can choose any other options. Surname, I'll give this tests. Then for the given name, I'll give it user, and then for the nickname, I can leave it blank or give it another name that is commonly used for that particular client. Sex at birth has a couple of options, which are 3. We have male, female, then intersex, and all of these are picked from the service tracking card. So I'll just choose male for my client. Then date of birth. Now here the logic is you can either choose to use the date of birth, or if you don't know the date of birth, then the client can estimate their age, and then you just say maybe the client is 30 years. But if you know the actual date of birth, we recommend you use that because that is more accurate. So if you click on date of birth in this particular field, it will bring up a date picker, and then it's from this that you can actually go and pick the actual date of birth. So you just click on the year, you choose the month and the actual day. It will automatically populate the years for you, the months and the days for that client within the system. So the next field calculates the current age of a client. We have 2 age fields. Okay, so the one right here is the age of the client at the time of registration. The age in years is the current age of the client. What this means is that this is static because it's only at registration, but the age in years keeps on accumulating because it relates the date of birth with the current date. It means that if the client is 36 years now, next year there will be 37. So this will remain 36 next year, but this will change to 37. And this is auto generated as well, or populated. So what you do for this to show you don't fill it up. What you do is just go to the next field and it will automatically calculate the years. Because this age is current, it will just remain the same. But when you come back next year to the same form, this will now be 37. Phone numbers, you can put them in if you have them on the form. Remember, every information comes from the paper tool. Nothing comes from your head besides the validation fields that just help you clean up your data. So I put in religion, I'll just say maybe Christian. Education level, it can be secondary. Marital status, it could be married, 36. Relationship, well, regular partner. So I put in a village. For this, I'm just going to use a village, then parish. This is for demo purposes, but for your information, these are coming from the actual tools. Just say sub-county. Then I'll pick the first district, but there are a couple of them, so you can look them up because there are many. So you can easily type and get the district. Occupation, this is what the client does. Okay. As an example, if a client is maybe a migrant worker, if a client is maybe a fisher folk, or a client is a border rider, they could have another occupation that they actually do. Maybe if a client belongs to a certain category, you can have that on the side, but someone has actually their official job on the side. So that is what you put here. And I could say maybe salon attendant as an example. And then for the categories, I'll just choose, okay, discordant couple. Let me say discordant couple if it's their category. So the system will warn you that if the client is in discordant relationship, ensure that HIV status for spouse partner differs from clients, i.e. the client's HIV results are positive, the spouse HIV results are negative, and vice versa. So these are checks that are put in the system just to make sure that we have clean data in the system. And when you read and follow this, it means the system will be cleaned up. So disclosure of HIV status, I can say no, I haven't disclosed, but since it's a discordant, I think I would go with a yes. So if yes, relationship of the person disclosed to, I would say partner. If your spouse partner ever been tested for HIV, I'll say yes, since this is a discordant relationship. And again, I'll say yes. So most test results of the spouse, I'll say positive because this is a discordant relationship or couple. Now, when I'm done, some of these fields are blank, and the reason is the tools are different. Because we chose health facility at the top, screening for HIV risk only belongs to the community tool, and it will only be populated when you actually choose community. Down here we have children of key populations. So this will only happen if your category here is a key population category. So because this is a discordant couple, which is a priority population, it won't show because this is strictly telling you that these are children of key populations. So I can go ahead and save this form for this particular entry, and what we've gone through is just an example of how to enter the health facility records. Now I'll save and continue, and the difference with save and continue and save and add new is that with save and continue, you save this entry and it will take you to the client's dashboard for you to be able to enter the follow-up information. Now save and add new will save this and reload the form for a new registration for another client. So you can also choose to print it if you want a copy of it, which is physical, or cancel if you were just trying it out or made mistakes and you feel like you want to reverse the process. So for this case, I would save and continue, and it will take me to the client dashboard if there are no errors, that is. If there are errors, it will warn you, and then it's only until you correct the errors that you can actually proceed to the client's dashboard. And this is what we call the client's dashboard. So for the next segment, we are going to go through the client's dashboard, look at the different features and functionalities that we can manipulate to be able to look at our client's data in detail. So for this, I'll stop here because this was entirely about registration. And for the next one, you'll be able to follow up for the following visits. I thank you and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.